Welcome to the Spiritual Roundtable, where we're about to break down, discuss, unpack, and challenge pretty much anything spiritual. Together, we're going to embark on a journey of unlocking spiritual potential through a ton of things like healing, balance, oneness, devil's advocate, and so much more. We always promise to give you what you need and only sometimes what you want. I'm your host, Erika M, child of balance, and here with me, my co-host, is Miss Erin M, Keys of Wisdom 369.
Join us today as we talk about how you are making yourself small, what that means, and how to stop doing it.
I'm actually super excited to do today's topic, which is not making yourself small. But I think, like Child of Balance and I always say, like, you got to go forwards to go backwards sometimes. And right now, the reason I love this so much is because it just lines up with the current state of energy. All of these emotions coming to the surface, all of this seeking and searching for deeper truth, people talking about inner child wounds and this and that. In order to understand how you've made yourself small, you have to go backwards to when you first started doing it. That's often, what people call that inner child, the inner teenager, you know what I mean? That adolescent space, because that's where you first experienced something that made you feel small. Whether it was not being seen, not being heard, your emotions not being validated, whether it was, things with sibling rivalry. It can be so many different things. But right now, that's why everybody's like, throat punch Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Like, seriously, it's the resentment. Like, your inner child is pissed. And I don't want to just label it your inner child, but that's where it started. And that's what people don't really like fathom right now. They're just looking at their present moment and they're like, oh my God, all of this shit is coming up. What is going on? What am I doing wrong? Oh no. Like, this, the part of you that's like, we're not doing this anymore. We ride at dawn. It's go time. And then people are stuck in this like, but I'm angry and I'm rageful and I'm bitter and I'm sad and I've got clarity, but I hate my clarity. And it's just this overwhelm of emotions because we've buried it for so long. That's part of the smallness. That's part of the masks that we talk about that we create over time. Your mask is how you've been small. The ways that you thought you had to be because other people or things outside yourself told you that this is what it looked like to be this or that, whatever label, whatever limit. Like, people are transcending this now, and it's really freaking painful. And it's like that's where that smallness comes in. Pain does not make you small. Feeling your pain does not make you small. Expressing your emotions is the opposite of making you small. But right now, it's going against the grain of everything you thought you had to do. And that's why I'm just like so excited to unpack this today. It's the small part of everybody that's pissed off right now.
But that's what's it, dude, because you just touched on it in like a fantastic way. I'm not even sure if you know that you just did that, but you touched on the fact that it's like, it's not even pain that makes you small. It's not feeling your pain. You are taking up space when you allow energy to be released, when you allow yourself to speak your truth. You are owning your space. When we say you've made yourself small, what that translates into a physical experience, because I know you motherfuckers are logical who watch this. I know you are dissecting it. You go, I'm not small. I know my shit. No bullshit. There was a point in time, and you're probably still doing it, in one area of your life where you are editing yourself, where you are making yourself smaller so people don't choke on your energy, where you are shrinking yourself down so you are more palpable, so people can handle you. We are editing how we act, how we speak, how we walk, how we do all of these things so that we are more acceptable. We do not need to be acceptable to anybody. It's the opposite of what society teaches you. It's the opposite of what a workplace environment will teach you, right? Cindy didn't like how you looked at her, so I'm going to need you to look at Cindy and smile every time you see her. Well, what is that telling you? Oh, every time you see her now, we have to pretend to be something we're not so Cindy feels comfortable. Absolutely not.
And
You try to assert yourself, your feelings, your opinions, and you get told you're being a bitch, you're being rude, you're being really, interesting. All of these things are you editing yourself so other people can accept your presence in their life. And I'm gonna tell this, like this came up on repeat in lives, and we say it all the time. You're not being intimidating. People are intimidated.
I want to use that example of what you just said. And number two, before I go back to that, we're going to use the word edit for the rest of this podcast. How you're editing yourself. And the reason I say that is because sometimes, and you said it, people get triggered when you're like, well, I'm not being small anymore. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. The fact that you're triggered is because you still know you're playing small. So we're going to rephrase this today so it's more digestible, all the ways that you're editing yourself, whether it's past, present, or how you're trying to contemplate your future, right?
We're gonna make the word smaller so you can handle it.
We are today. We gonna meet people where they are. And right now everybody's just an emotional mess. So we're gonna meet you where you are today. And I mean that. But
It's
I
fun.
know, but I like the example you just gave. When people tell you that you have to change something about yourself, right? Because your soul, your resonant frequency goes, I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't being mean. I wasn't being a bitch. I wasn't. So you don't like my face. You don't like that I looked at you and didn't smile. Now you create resentment because why? There's that part of you that's like, I didn't do anything. I'm just being me. I just looked up and happened to make eye contact with you. And now your butt hurt because I didn't smile at you. And then you're criticizing yourself. And now you're editing yourself. That's why all of this is here. And that's the thing, but it's just this big ripple. And that's why I said I've noticed this theme in live recently. So that's why I want to bring it up. And this is going to be a trigger, and I don't care. So, like,
Let her rip, tater chip.
if you triggered, it's actually it's an awareness. That's what I'm call it. Your trigger is going to be your
The
awareness.
breadcrumb to healing. Don't hate your triggers, embrace them.
You are still playing small. You are still editing yourself. When somebody talks to you about expressing an emotion and you get pissed off about it. Well, I did this. Well, I got mad. I cried for an hour. I this or that. And you're defending yourself. We were just talking about this before we got on podcast today. If you are having to defend who you are to anyone, you're playing small. You're playing small. Whether it's how you speak, how you carry yourself, your confidence, your emotions, the way you express them. If you are defending who you are, that's playing small.
And I'm going to tell you right now, for everybody who has been in this room and who has been on lives and who has been a part of the community that we've built here, like, you cannot do two things at once. You cannot play small and own your nest.
Nope.
That is the opposite effect. You are either downplaying who the fuck you are, what you bring to the table when you are small, or you are owning your authenticity, you are owning your nest, whether that's good, bad, great, ugly, it doesn't matter. You're owning it because it's you. It's one or the other. It can't be both. You cannot be playing small and pretend and really lie to yourself. This is where being true to yourself is really important.
Honest healing.
Like, it's one of those things. If you are editing yourself, and I don't mean using appropriate language, I don't mean not attacking people. And if that's where your masculine brain is taking it, you are disillusioning yourself. Tell your logic to step aside and put your listening ears on, because you are defensive about the topic. If we are needing to psychoanalyze each word that heavily, it's because it resonates and it bothers us that it resonates. And that's something we needed. We've all had to be there. I was there. Keys was there in her own way. Like, we've all had to do that, where we have to check ourselves. So feel free to check yourselves as many times as you're going to need through this podcast. 2:02 on the clock. Like, as many times as you are going to need to check yourself. Look at the reflection. Look at the mirror, because it's staring back at you. If this is something that hits home for a lot of people in a lot of different areas. Relationships are on the chopping block right now. I don't care what anyone says. Sorry, not sorry. That's the truth. And a lot of times right now, relationships and interpersonal moments are where we play small. It's not the bitch on the corner that you never meet again at the supermarket who gives you a look. You have no problem being like, bitch, why are you looking like that? Take your stank eye somewhere else. You have no problem. But it's the person who comes up to you who's been in your life for 6 years, or the person who you're in familiar relationships with, your parents, your siblings, who you have trouble asserting yourself. You have trouble breaking out of a mold that you have cast for yourself from a previous version of you.
Yes.
You thought you had to be things to be accepted. Maybe you were even told you had to be things to be accepted. Regardless of it, you, your energy, your character, your ego has adopted it as truth. Owning your ness is letting that cast go, because that's an old version of you, and we're not repouring that one.
Correct. And that's the thing. I'm noticing that a lot with people right now. This is the war that's like come to the surface now. That's why we jokingly said it when we're like, it's divorce season, it's betrayal season. But it's because that part of you that's been betraying you all along is like, nope, we are cutting ties. So we're divorcing ourselves from this kind of behavior. It's rippling into your external world. Like you said, we play the smallest in our intimate relationships, whether it's work, coworkers, friends, family, romantic partners. I always love when people like go back to like dating for a second, and they're like, you spend the first 6 months pretending to be someone you're not. Then you have to spend the next 6 months like actually getting to know the person. By then, sometimes they're like, well, man, now we just a year in. So like, I guess we just need to buckle up. What can I live with? What can I not? Where can I settle? Am I really okay with this? And now this energy, it's the not settling energy. That's
And
why.
I'm sorry, if you're not 90, you should not be finding your death partner. I love you. If you are not 80, 90 years old, you are not settling for a death partner right now. We are not. Nope. You deserve better. I don't care if you're 40. I don't care if you're 50. You have a lot of life left. 30, 40 years of life is a lot of life left.
Yes, it is.
You deserve to have 10, 20, 30, 40 years of something good in your life.
Yes.
Do not settle.
I also want to pose this in there too, because there's just so much that goes with this. And, just like you said, whether you're 30, 40, 50, you got a lot of life left to live. I also hear people go, but what about my kids? What about this? What about the little energies that get intertwined in you? You have a choice. And if you're going to get triggered, you're going to get triggered right now. You have a choice. Are you going to be a perpetuator of trauma, or are you going to be someone who stops it? That is your choice. You can continue to sit in a space where you continue to do broken shit, toxic shit. And I want to say this, toxic is a behavior. It's not, let's stop saying toxic masculine, toxic feminine. That's just how it manifests itself in whatever energy you have dominant in your vessel.
Yep.
Toxic
Speak it.
behavior is toxic fucking behavior. It doesn't matter if you're a man, a woman, it's your masculine energy, your feminine energy. You have a choice. You can show children that sometimes relationships don't work out, but we're going to give you an example of healthy. And when I say we, you are choosing to say, I am going to give you an example of healthy. You have no control over what that other person does. You have no control over what they say about you, how they behave about you, what narratives they spin about you. But you have a choice to show children how to do something differently. And I see
Well, but
so
see, but that's it though, because you said it, and I feel like we need to highlight it before you even go any further down that rabbit hole, is the fact that it's the I statement.
yes,
When you are taking your power back, that is you no longer playing small. In any form of taking your power back, you are deciding not to play small. So saying that this is the end, it stops with me, whatever you have to tell yourself, I'm done with this. I choose, like your littles, they're watching you.
yep.
I don't care if you think that they don't like you. I don't care if you guys are on the outs right now. It doesn't matter how old they are. They're watching you and they're learning from you and they're learning what's acceptable and what's not. It's
You
more
are
about setting an
showing.
example.
And I want to say this, and this is not, people aren't going to like this. And I don't, and, I've been there. So I'm saying this, I've been there. I have children. I've had to correct my behavior. I've had to course correct. I've had to make decisions when it's come to relationships. You are showing your children what they should tolerate by what you tolerate. Period.
Yes, ma'am.
End of story. So I'm going to tell you, you desensitize them to toxicity when you keep them in a toxic environment. A toxic environment is not just someone who physically hurts you. It is emotionally hurting you. It is people who are emotionally unavailable. It is a mental mind games. It is the berating comments. It is the nothing you ever do is good enough. It is the constant fight or flight, argumentative shit that goes back and forth between the adults in a household.
It's
You,
also playing chameleon, and that's
yeah,
your making small. It's you being like, I'll fix it. I'll fix me every time, whether I'm right, whether I'm wrong, I'll fix me every time. And it's not coming from a place of, I'm healed, we'll do this together. It's coming from a place of, I'm the problem, it's me. It's just easier this way.
yep,
Every time you tell yourself it's just easier this way, or I'm just keeping the peace, you are making yourself small. And
yep,
it is in every moment of every day, of every relationship where that flows through your mind. It's just simpler if I. It's just better if I do this. It's just, I'm keeping the peace and I need to keep the peace. You are disillusioning yourself and you are convincing yourself it is okay in the moment to edit you so that the end result for somebody else is better.
yep,
All the while you are saying fuck you, fuck your nest, fuck your energy, fuck your needs, fuck your emotions, and you are saying it on repeat and you are reaffirming to all 7 trillion billion cells in your body that that's okay. And then you're saying it out loud because you're telling other people that's your reasoning. You're not only reaffirming it to your conscious, your subconscious, every cell in your body, you're speaking energy. You're also manifesting it, you're casting it out, and you're telling everybody that's okay. Treat me like this because I will be flexible. And yeah, that's great in moderation, everything in balance. You need to be a little flexible, you need to go with the flow. But then there's where we're hurting ourselves.
yep.
Then there's where we're losing sight of our nest. We're losing ourselves. How many people, raise your hands for the people in the back, how many times have you lost yourself in a relationship? Hands up. 1 million people have. Everybody has at least one person where they have lost themselves in a relationship because you have continued to edit yourself. You lose yourself, you mask yourself,
Every
you
time
continue to make. Every time you edit, every time you make yourself small, every time you hold back the shit you want to say it. There's a way that you can say it that is not attacking, that is not hurtful, that is not harmful, that is not rude, aggressive. You can say everything you need to say, and you can do it in an appropriate way where you're not editing yourself and where your point is getting across.
when you sit in your grounded energy and you're
Yes,
not
ma'am.
acting. And that's the thing. You are not responsible for how other people interpret your words, interpret your energy, or interpret, how you command and take up space. Period. End of story. Because that's the thing. Just because somebody goes, well, you were really rude and you hurt my feelings. Okay, well, you know what? What do I always say? Sometimes the truth says, fuck your feelings. It does. I've
Yep.
said that forever. And I don't mean it as like egotistical as it sounds, but the truth and the universal truth remains unchanged regardless of anybody's emotions. It does
Yep.
not change. It cannot be manipulated. That doesn't mean people will not try. But at the end of the day, the truth is the truth is the truth. And it
And the
doesn't
truth always
mean
comes out.
defend it. But I
And
say
it always comes
it
out. The truth
always
always reveals itself in its damn divine timing. It doesn't matter if it's 2 days, 2 years,
can
20 million years. It doesn't matter. It's coming out. The truth, it will always come out.
correct.
It'll always come out.
But I love the example that you gave where you're like, how many people can say they've ever lost themselves? Start there. You
Oh
want
my
a
goodness.
starting point, start there. And I'm going to tell you right now, don't start in your first romantic relationship because it's the first thing that's going to come to your mind. When did you lose yourself in your parent-child relationship? When did you lose yourself in a sibling relationship? When did you lose yourself in a friendship? Because I'm telling you, those become the bricks in your foundation of how you think you have to play small. You do it so often, it becomes subconscious and you don't even realize you're doing it until sometimes somebody brings you an awareness. Or the energy in the universe goes, we turn the spotlight on, friends, like nobody's, like no troll left behind. Like you're all fitting to do this today.
Well, but that's what happens though, is that you don't realize how much you have removed yourself. I don't even want to call it the limelight. I want to call it the spotlight. You don't even realize how much you have removed yourself from the light from being seen, from being understood. And then you'll get a plethora of moments where you're like, nobody gets me. I feel like no one's hearing me. I feel like it's because you have made yourself so small, so minuscule, so glossed over that you don't even stand out no more. You lost your nest. That is what that means. You have become a chameleon. Congratulations. You blend.
Yep.
But when you on this journey, what's the number one thing? They'll let you blend in for a little while. And they'll make you feel like you making headway.
And you're going to
And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, your changer's broke. Oh my God. And then the spotlight pops on you. And oh, here's your microphone. Reintroduce yourself. And that's where people get stuck and they're like, it's my villain error. No, it's not. You are reclaiming your nest. You put it aside, you covered it up, you masked it up to be palpable, to be tolerable towards others. You are not responsible for how other people tolerate you. You are not. Release yourself from that responsibility. That is not your problem. That is not your problem. And it's hard, especially when you care about people and this and that. But you know what? It's okay, because I'm gonna tell you right now, usually people have made themselves small. You know that you have given some people some hella amount of grace. You have allowed them to be a whole fool. You have allowed them to be the clown, the
talk
villain,
to
the
you
all
the way
this
you
in the
never
story.
needed to be talked to. You have
Like,
tolerated behaviors. You have hold on, you have lost people in your life. You have lost friendships. You have lost familial relationships because you chose to make yourself so small in other relationships in your life. I mean, and I can use that as an example. Like even when I was like 20 years ago, making bad choices, people in addiction, people who's alcoholism, whatever, right? Like you choose something and people give you an ultimatum. Like we want to be in your life, we want to help you, we want this, and you have lost your nest. You have doubled down. You have committed to something. And sometimes addictions are people. And I am sorry if people don't like that. Sometimes your addiction is a person. Sometimes your addiction is the toxicity because you don't know any different. You are so small. You have lost so much of your nest that toxic relationships are your addiction. They are actually the toxic bond you're meant to break. And that is,
yep.
and people don't want to necessarily talk about it like that because then it's like, oh my God, I am addicted to this. I am addicted to that. Because you've lost, like you say, your nest. You're playing so small. This is all the things you tolerate. So when we speak in terms of energy, right? The universe gives you what you are, not what you want. You can claim you want all the things you want, but if you keep putting yourself back in these situations and you don't reclaim your nest, your power, you know what I mean? You don't stop playing small, editing yourself. You are going to continue to manifest, draw in, and attract to you the energy in which you're sitting. And
And
now
I'm gonna tell you, yeah. And it's like, I'm gonna tell you, what's the next logical thing that comes from this, right? Like, so we know what looking small now looks like, right? Editing ourselves, masking up, pretending things don't bother us, this, that, not speaking our truth, not feeling like we can speak up, all of this, feeling like our authenticity is unaccepted because that's really where it starts. At the core, doesn't matter what experience, doesn't matter what relationship, at the core, it's that our authenticity, our ness, our soul is too much to be accepted. So what do? We chop it up, we break it down, and we feed it like it's a toddler. What about this? No, you don't like this? You don't need to ever do broccoli again. What about this? Carrots? Carrots aren't your thing? What about potato chips? You love potato chips? I'm going to give you all the potato chips you want. Oh, you're sick of that? I'll switch again. Like, you are so focused on appeasing others. That's your people pleaser. You
yeah,
are, and we all have one. I don't give a shit what you say. We all have a version of everything. We
yeah,
have a version of our people pleaser. We have a version of caring. We have a version of fixing us and fixing people. Everybody has it at different levels within inside themselves. Some people it's really high. Some people it's just minuscule. It's fine. You have it. Get right with it because you're going to check all of the boxes. So it's just like one of those things. It's like, that's really what it does. So now that you know it, the number one question that we get all the time is what, Keys? Oh, how do I fix that?
how do I
How
fix
do I
it?
stop doing that? How do I fix it? Right? Because now that you know it, you're like, oh God, no, I didn't want to do that. I thought, no, my healing journey, that's the opposite. You're damn right it is. Congratulations. Calm down though. You're
Yeah,
not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You haven't actually lost it. But what you did do is you did put it in that duffel bag. You did carry that duffel bag up to Mount Fuckmore, and you did leave it there by accident 2 summers ago on that camping trip. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to climb back up that mountain. It's gonna take a lot of strength. You're gonna be sweating. It's gonna make you uncomfortable. You did not pack a sack this time because you carrying 2 sacks down is wild. So guess what you're gonna do? You're gonna have to muster up some bootstrap strength, and you're gonna get there. You're gonna pick that sack back up, and you're gonna start walking with it because you forgot that. I need that. I need that. Once I got back downhill, I forgot. Shit,
Huh?
I left the goodness up there, and that's the point. Because I'm telling you, it is at your peak when you are feeling yourself. It is at your tippy top when you're like, this is it. That somebody comes in and goes, you being too much. You can feel great about yourself. You're like, it's bitch. It's always when you at your top, when you're like, this is feeling great. You think you made a friend. You're like, woo. And then all of a sudden someone comes in out of sideways and they're like, I don't like this about you. I don't like that you do this. I don't like that you say this. I don't like that you smiled this way. I don't like that you weren't friendly. You were too friendly. You're too loud. You're opinionated. Whatever. They will judge you. They will label you. And then you will edit yourself thinking that you're the problem. You're not the problem.
No.
But it's always at the peak. That's why that suitcase is up at the top of the damn Mount Fuckmore, is because you were feeling yourself all the way up there. You were like, I'm owning it. It's always when you own your shit. Even before you on your spiritual journey, you're like, everything's going right for me. And then someone's like, actually, I think you might need to work on some things.
Like, even just, let's talk before the spiritual journey. Say you're like, I'm going to go get a new haircut. I really like this. And da-da-da-da-da. And then you show up at, like you just said, you show up at work and you're like, I am confident. I love this new haircut. And somebody's like, what the hell did you do to your hair? And then you're like,
and then your boss is like, that's not professional. Fix yourself. I'm telling you, it's always when you're like, you're owning it, that the universe tests you and you just don't realize it until you're older, till you're on this journey. They were like, are you going to double down in your nest and tell people where to shove it? Or are you going to be like, you're right, this was a bad idea, and now we're putting wigs on to get through work? Like, it's okay.
It's so funny that you, like, this is the example that we went with. Because, like, what did I tell you, like, a week ago? I'm like, I even know when it was. It was Labor Day weekend because it was a 3-day weekend. And I'm like, oh my God, B, I finally redid my hair, right? Like, I hadn't done it since, like, October when I originally did.
Comment from hell.
And somebody, like, pops in the comments during live and they're like, red's really not your color. And I'm like, to each their own, man. Because, like, when I say this, I love my red hair. Like, I do. I love it. Like, I don't have to have a reason for it. I don't need to justify it to anybody. Like, I like it, and that's all. But the thing is that it's just the prime example. You would have asked me that in high school when I'm like, oh, let me go highlight my hair. Let me try this haircut. And then somebody's like, what is this? And then I'm like, oh, well, I was really digging this. And now
But then you're like, we're never doing this again.
let me go get it. Like, but it is. It's when, and that's what's kind of like brutal for everybody right now. Like within this energy is a lot of people were really like, I want to say like digging into their healing journey. And I don't mean the like intellectualizing your healing journey, but like you were finally starting, and I'm going to say starting to be honest healing, because there's a difference. And we all go through it. We all go through it where we unpack it mentally, but we haven't really felt our way through, thus still playing small because we haven't created the space by allowing our feelings to come out. But then people were finally starting to do that. A big part of the collective was finally starting to do that. And then whoop, in came all this energy that was like, oh, you thought we were going to take it slow. Just kidding. And brought it all up. So people were clapping for themselves. They were this, they were that. And then all of a sudden it's like, that's why this is here. It is literally to address the, how were you settling? Where were you playing small? What relationships have you been sacrificing yourself in? Because the thing is, the version you are right now is not necessarily the version you were when you began in these relationships. It's okay to evolve. It's okay to change. It's okay for things to not be the way they were. It's okay for you to not want to do the same things you said you wanted to do with somebody now, because gapping's a thing. The frequency gap is getting bigger. People aren't resonating, having the same things in common with people. And people are actually taking this step back and going, all these things I thought I wanted. Like, this is when you can be honest with yourself. I thought I wanted all these things with this person. And then you're like sitting there and you're looking at your life, right? And you're like, well, here we are 2 and 3 years later and ain't shit changed. We're not even building together. Like, we're just in this go around, this monotonous, like nothing actually gets better. We share our dreams and hopes and aspirations, but like here we are still stuck and stagnant. And so people are like tired of settling. So you have to ask yourself, like, what foundations have you been building on? That's why people are getting rocked right now. That's why, like, people's teams, God, Spirit, Universe, creators, like, it's time to level it. It's time to start over again. I told you the other day, I just kept seeing that Seven of Pentacles card from our Sunshine deck, right? You can pick your roots up and move them. It's okay.
And what's really great is I just need to share this with everybody for listening, is that the entire time you're talking, my team is giving me like this flashback image of, I don't know if it was like 1980s, but it's Steve Martin in like doing his French accent. And he's like, "You idiots, open up the window. Clearly the king needs light." And then it's like, opens up the window and the king's like, "My eyes." And he's like, "You moron." Slaps him with like gloves and he's like, "Close it. Obviously it's too much light. What are you trying to hurt our king?" Like, and it's like this back and forth. Like, I tell you, it was like, it's like, I'm like seeing, I can't think of it, but I can like, it's like that type of a thing where it's like this whole sitcom thing. But that's literally what you've been doing your whole life.
Yes.
"Oh, I'll try something new. Didn't work. I'm a moron. Let me try something else. Oh, you wanted more, like, it's like that." Striking me, it's like the Roman, like, "More fans, too much fans. Give me the grapes." Like, and it's just like, but you are consistently running around like a chicken with your head cut off, trying to appease an unappeasable thing. Because I'm going to tell you right now, you got to get right with the fact you ain't going to make everybody happy. You got to get right with the fact that you going to make 6 people happy and 2 people upset. And the people who are upset are going to get so loud that you're going to want to fix it just to re-anger the 6 people who are happy. It is a lose-lose situation when you are changing yourself. But guess what? The second you realize that it's not about changing yourself, it's about aligning with the people who are not asking you to change yourself, that's when things change. And the number one thing I could ask is, I'm going to go back to it. What do we do? Every time you get an urge, act on it. Every time you get a thought, act on it. Every time you feel like, do. Every time you think it, say it. Like, get in that habit. And there's a difference between when your shadow's like, "That's not your shirt, bitch," and when you're just like, "I can't compromise how I feel." There's a difference, and you need to know your difference.
You're being like with the shirt comment. That has nothing to do with you. That literally has nothing to do with you. How someone chooses to express themselves in their clothing, in their hair, in their makeup, in the way they carry themselves, right? That has nothing to do with you. So when you're like, speak it, say it, this, that, it's when it directly affects you.
Because be careful. Sometimes when we do those judgmental things, even from our shadow, what are we doing? We are basically telling other people to be smaller.
Yep.
Be smaller because it bothers me. Do not be the thing that irks you, because you will become your own unique version of the same shit that you hate in your life when you don't address it. Now, a word from our sponsors. If you are looking for a one-stop shop for all things spiritual, check out the website, www.childofbalance.com.
We opened up a Get 5, Give 5 program, and it's all for referring friends and family. We know you guys do it. We want to say thank you because we are always seeing you send your trusted people our way. So visit the website and figure out how you can not only get $5 for doing it, but give $5 to your bestie. Visit www.childofbalance.com. There's no end date. We're just launching it now to say thank you. So if you want a one-stop shop for private spaces, spiritual guidance and assistance, mediumship, mentorship, private readings, shadow work, assistance, it's all there. If you are looking for a free tree of knowledge where you can learn esoteric wisdoms, breath work, you can learn about yourself, cultures, spiritual hygiene, spiritual practices, spiritual traditions, and you can just learn about almost anything under the sun spiritual for 100% free, check out the website. And you should become a member. If you're not already a member, www.childofbalance.com. It's 100% free. It'll never cost you money. We would never charge you money. The website is about assistance and community. Take advantage of it, fam. It's a great place to go to unlock your spiritual potential. www.childofbalance.com.
I think this is wild. So much of this journey is focused on what? Feeling your feelings, creating space by allowing yourself to go through what you need to. Do you know how many people I see tell masculines, feminines, anyway, you feel too much. You're too much. Your emotions are too much. What is happening? Like, I sit there and I'm like, what level of upside down is this? I'm like, we're sitting here trying to break the mold, break constructs, change belief systems, do things differently. And then, like you just said, you're judging people. You're telling people to be small. Their feelings make you feel a certain type of way, so they need to be less than.
Yep, because you can't handle it. It's still the outside looking in, and that's not the point.
Correct.
And it's just really like, I always get that, but like, how can I do this? Like, you can do it in so many different ways.
Yes.
Like, just think about, like, I know we all hated COVID, but like, just think about COVID, right? Now think, what was the rule? 6 feet from everybody else, 6 feet apart, 6 feet from this. Why do you think that is? The average aura is about 6 feet.
Yep.
The average connection is about 6 feet.
Yep.
The average this is about 6 feet. When you walk in the room, the average person, regardless of how they feel, how they act, their confidence is taking up about 6 feet of space in a circumference around you. If you are walking in a room smaller than 6 feet, you are making yourself small.
Yes.
Think about it energetically. It is very simple. If I feel like I can't breathe, if I feel like I'm taking up too much space, if I ask a question that I'm interrupting or hurting or harming, you are not giving yourself just the grace of just the normal amount of space. I'm not even asking you to accept yourself fully, to blow that 6 and double it into 12, to now take up the whole room, to now turn heads. Nobody's asking you to make that leap yet. You gonna be asked. I hate to break it to you. Spirit is gonna ask you at some point to take that leap and to be turning heads by accident by just walking in with your presence. You're gonna understand that. You'll deal with your wings at some point. You will own your energy. You will own your shadow. You will do all of that. But at the basic human, even the unawakened, the unevolved, the unaware, whatever word you
Limited
want,
perspective people. That's what they are.
whatever
Limited
word you want to slap on it,
Correct.
whatever part of the collective, like, the average person is 6 feet, is 6 feet. Just being comfortable existing is 6 feet.
Yep.
You are being asked to do bare minimum.
Yep.
And exist. All you have to do is not worry about how you may affect other people.
Correct.
And it's a tricky thing when society teaches you that that's where your focus should be.
Correct. Correct. But that's the
But ding dong, we're here now.
But it is, but that's the thing. And so many people, and again, it can be a trigger, and that's okay. So many people are so mad at themselves. And I mean this, like, you're mad at yourself because you're realizing now, you have the awareness now that you did care too much what other people's opinions were. You did, you did water yourself down. You did change everything about you because you thought that it was going to change things outside of you. So now you're sitting here and you're like, holy shit, breakthrough, epiphany, tower moment. They won't stop. They won't stop. Like, the fog is lifted, right? Yeah, it's brutal right now because you're realizing it. Now you can do something about it. Now you have the awareness. But the thing is, you also don't have to figure it out right this second. When this shit floods in, it is the, let me sit here for a minute. Let me really take a look at this. Where do I need to make changes? Because the thing is, you will continue the pattern, you will continue the lesson, and you will continue the loop every time you do not choose to do something different. It is that simple. If you continue the same patterns, you will meet them in different people, different situations, but it will be the same core energy because it's the same energy in the lesson.
Well, it's just so important. Like, you touched on it right there, but, like, I'm gonna reiterate it. It's so important. It's learning to listen to your energy,
Yeah.
learning to listen to your body, learning to listen to all of it, because that's the whole point. It's listening and acting. We're not overcompensating, we're not hiding, we're not playing chess with other people around us. We're not like, "Well, I can't let them see this part of me, so let me over glorify this other part." No, like, no. It's listening. And
Yes.
sometimes, yeah, it is sitting with yourself, but sometimes it's also part of, like, getting comfortable is really acting on it.
Yep.
Do you wanna go to the store? Go to the store. You feel like you wanna walk in the park? Go walk in the park. You feel like you wanna just spend time alone today? Spend time alone. It's listening to what you need and getting over the fear of giving that to yourself.
Yep.
And then you can bridge into telling others what you need. But
Yeah.
first, you have to start accepting what you need before you can tell others what you need, how to treat
If
you,
you
and
don't
all this other
know what
shit.
you need, how in the hell do you expect to communicate that to anybody else? I
Facts.
tell that to people. I mean, I do. We do it on live. I know. I've done it in private spaces where I'm like, you have to sit with yourself and define what it is that you need. Now, understand, it's a like you say, it's a working definition. It's gonna change as you change and evolve, right? But
And
what
if
is
it's not, there's a problem.
correct?
If
There's
it's
a
not,
remedy.
there's a problem.
Correct.
Because at some point, you're lying to yourself. At some point, you're not actually growing. At some point, everything is a flow. It's in a constant state of evolving, of changing, of growth, of addition, of subtraction. It is in a constant state of
Yeah.
movement. The entire universe, all energy,
Mhm.
everything, movement.
Well, I
If
love
you
it.
are not moving, you are dying actively while you're living. And I'm sorry,
But
that's
I
the
love
truth.
that you just gave that example because it is always changing. And I can't remember who it was, but I saw a video this morning when right before I went live, and somebody was talking about how the journey is filled with contradictions. The more you learn, like the more you open your consciousness up, you expand it, you're willing to not limit your perspectives, you will hit points where what you thought a year ago has now been contradicted by new wisdoms, new experiences, new knowledge. And now you're evolving because you have a new perspective. You are a work in progress. You are never finished.
Yep.
You are limitless. And that is literally what that means. It's not, okay, I got here. I learned something new through an experience, but you're like, but I said this a year ago. No, you're allowed to change. You're allowed to
But own it. It's not a
oh
mistake.
yeah,
You weren't right. You weren't wrong. I know differently. I think differently. I feel differently. My opinions have changed. You're allowed to morph just like your energy. How the fuck is your energy supposed to change if you're not allowed to change? How does that make sense? How are you supposed to grow? How is this supposed to be a soul evolution for you coming down to this planet doing this bullshit and you're not allowed to change? What the fuck's the point then? Your
exactly.
story either makes sense or it doesn't. And that's something you got to get right with.
Yep.
Either makes sense or it doesn't.
And I
And
mean,
if it doesn't make sense, what's the point?
even simply put in like an easier bite-sized phrase, right? When we talk about the other versions of ourself, the
Yep.
versions that came before us, right? That's exactly what that means. So there's a version of you that existed that accepted less than you deserved, that tolerated crappy behavior. So if you play in the paradigm of, well, I'm never allowed to change my mind, okay, so then you've now committed to that version of yourself. But that timeline is over for you when you expand your thinking, your perspective by the experiences you've gained, by incorporating your wisdom from sitting with yourself in the awareness, in what you can live with. That is how you change your life.
All
That is
right, I'm gonna
how
do it.
you shift a timeline. That's how you end one. Can you go backwards if you want to? You can go backwards, you can go forward. That's why it's like, it's not linear.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna do it, and this is where we might lose some people. So, um,
Do it.
the whole goal is to realize where you've been the hypocrite.
Yep.
And I mean it on purpose, and I'm sorry, not sorry, because we've all had to do this step in our journey
Yes.
of where you have been teaching, where you didn't align, of where you have been giving advice to others that you did not follow for yourself,
Yep.
as where you would give yourself a different answer than you would give your friend, your loved one, your child, you need to align with the words that are coming out of your face whole.
Yep.
The things that you are saying, otherwise you're not talking from your face, you're talking from your ass.
Yep.
And I don't care, but like you be listening from your ass too then. It's one of those things where it's like people go, well, no, if it either works or it doesn't, and you need to decide because it can't work for Johnny, Jimmy, Julie and not work for you.
Correct.
So are we telling people if they were to, this is how I tell people, like, if take yourself out of it, stop taking it personal. You hear me
Yep.
say it all the time. 90% of the problems is we take shit too personal and people get offended. They're like, I'm not taking anything personal. Yes, you are,
Yes,
because you're relating it back to you and your experience and you are taking it very, very personal, my friend. Do the opposite. Remove yourself. Create space. Create distance. Observe. Whatever word you want to use. Create space. What you're doing is then flipping your perspective. So take you out of it. Take your feelings, take your emotions, take it all out of it. Be neutral for a second. If you weren't you, if you were your buddy Jimmy, if you were your buddy Johnny, Tammy, Tommy, put up whatever name you want and put a face to it. Who cares? Create a character. If you were your best friend and your best friend came with you for the same problem that you are facing right now, what would you tell them? That's the same shit you should do for you. Part of this journey is realizing that you have rules that are for others and not for me.
Rules for thee, not for
And
me.
it's correcting that. And it's correcting it
It is.
because where do we align? Where do we align? Because I'm going to tell you what, your advice comes from your knowing. Your advice comes from your intention, your intuition. Your advice sometimes don't even come from you when you deal with others because you put your heart first, because you care about the people you are listening to. Because if you are truly helping and you know when you're helping and when you just want to pacify the conversation, you want to be done with it, there's a difference. But 90% of the people that come to us, they actually are trying to help people. They have friends who come to them for advice. Hello, it's your light, it's your nest that sends those people to you. You know what you also have? You also have all the answers you're seeking for when you ask others for things that you already know the answer to.
Yep.
You have to get over the idea that the answer's outside of you and you don't already have it in you to pull up that strength, to pull up that whatever. That is your light. When you are giving people advice, when you are talking from your soul, your heart, your intention, your team, I can't tell you how many times people slip their teams in their conversations. They don't even realize that's a wealth of knowledge you talking. It's not because you were a mom of 6. It's not because you used to be a teacher. It's not, that's coming from your team. That was some shit that you don't even live by. Like,
Yep.
and that's the facts, is that a lot of that is like being small is not being a freaking hypocrite. Take yourself out of it. Don't take it personal. What advice would you give your family, your sister, your brother, your best friend? That's the same advice you should be giving yourself when you experience this. And a lot of times you will notice you will give someone advice and your life. What will you have? The same thing for you. The same thing for you brought up. If you're paying attention, if there's enough space, you can spot it. And you go,
Yep.
oh shit. I'm being told to double down on what the fuck I just told somebody else. You're damn right you are. You're damn right you are. They gave you a warning that it was coming. They had a messenger bring you your problem right to your face. And then here we go. Where do we align? Or are we talking out our ass?
Now, a word from our sponsors. If you are looking for a one-stop shop for all things spiritual, check out the website, www.childofbalance.com. For those of you who truly appreciate handmade products, we have a handmade shop. Everything is made to order, blessed, saged, and sent out as quick as possible. We have anything from handmade sounds for meditation to chakra chain macrames to tree of life macrames with inlaid crystals to herbal blends like bath teas and dump and go specials to road opener mixes to kits and oils and so much more. For those of you who enjoy taking spiritual classes and courses but maybe can't fit it into your busy schedule, we have self-study courses and everything can be found in the handmade shop. The website is about assistance and community. Take advantage of it, fam. It's a great place to go to unlock your spiritual potential. www.childofbalance.com.
And that's just the truth of it. You have made, like, I'm a level with you guys. Like, you have made yourself small from the day you hit probably grade school,
Yep.
because there was some bully, somebody, some
Preschool,
kid. You didn't think you
daycare,
were
somewhere.
popular. You didn't look you were liked. You couldn't play with the toy, whatever it was. There was somewhere where you started editing yourself. It's not polite. It's not appropriate. It's all editing.
Girls don't do this. Boys don't do this.
Boy,
Like, it's that. That is what you're no longer editing. That's how
all of it.
it goes.
And it's just one of those things where it's really simple, but you got to be listening to you. What feels right for you? What compromises your morals, your ethics, your personality, your ness? And if it's asking you to do all those things, chances are it's not for you. And the real response is, no, thank you. I see you, but no, thank you. And you continue on. But that takes a certain
That
point.
distance. That's that removal. That's that this doesn't align with me.
Like, you hear me say it all the time. You have to care enough not to care. And I'm not telling you to deafen yourself. I'm saying you have to care enough about you. You have to care enough about your soul, your nest, your self-love, your self-worth, what you bring to the table enough that I have to say, I don't care what other people think about me. I don't care if I unintentionally, by living my life, walking through this life, this reality, this existence as me, minding my own business, not hurting or harming anybody with no intention of hurt or harm. If I trigger you, that's not my problem. The trigger is yours, just the way that you have spent, everybody listening to this has spent time healing their triggers, coming to terms with it, accepting it, readopting it, reintegrating it, moving forward so the trigger no longer controls your energy. The trigger is no longer a reaction that's present in you, right? That's also the outside person that you are changing yourself for. That's also their responsibility and not yours.
Correct.
You cannot harbor the responsibility of healing yourself and then editing yourself so others don't have to heal. That's wild.
Yes.
That is wild. That is way too much responsibility.
Correct.
And a lot of times that's when that physical body wants to be like, we done. And that's where people hit their rock bottoms.
Yep.
Is because you are overwhelming, you are overloading, and you are giving your plate, yourself, your energy, no place to win. Where's your reward? Where's your good job? Where's your peace? Where's the light at the end of the tunnel? If you're playing both sides of the ball game, who wins? You both win and you both lose? That doesn't make no sense. But then, how do we keep score? We can't. We can't. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And there's just so much to that. It's not about any one mantra. It's not about any one decision. It's about every day making a choice and choosing you. You hear us say it all the time. Choosing you is no longer being small.
Correct.
It's choosing to take up space and not apologizing, because that's what I'm going to leave you guys with. Me and Keys, like, we almost to the end of this, dude, where it's like not apologizing for your nest. We are not making excuses for your light. You are not making excuses for how you walk through this earth authentically as you. And it is so important. It is at the utmost front of your journey to stop apologizing for your existence. And if you feel like you need to add an "I'm sorry," please know that is somewhere you are editing yourself. If you need to be that internally submissive, that internally in your shell, soft, good, seeking acceptance, whatever it is, go back to when that started. Look back at that. There is not a single thing that you need to apologize for, especially when you are not doing any one thing to hurt, harm anybody. You're not looking to do, like, right? There's nothing to apologize for. Your existence is not an apology. You're here for a reason. And that's just it. Stop making yourself small. Take up space. Walk in the room like you belong there, because you do. You were brought to every location, every situation, every relationship, every encounter because you were supposed to be there.
Yep.
There can't be no coincidences and no mistakes for everybody else in the universe, but then you the mistake. I found this quote, and I'm going to leave you with it before we hang up here. And it came out in like some movie way back when, and it's fantastic. God, spirit, source, universe made all things. It is us as humans who deem which one's the mistake.
Alrighty. Thank you guys so much for listening in, tuning in. Thank you for joining us on the Spiritual Roundtable, where we just really get right down in it, no BS, and we just give you exactly what you need to hear. Not always what you want to hear, but definitely what you need to hear. Thank you for joining myself and Miss Keys of Wisdoms 369 for our talk today. And we hope you join us next week, where we have more straight talk coming right your way. And if you are not a member of the website, but you enjoy conversation like this and free knowledge and learning, we have a free tree of knowledge and you should check it out. Become a member. It's 100% free and you'll find it on www.childofbalance.com. Remember, as you go through this journey, please remember you are to feel your way through everything. Do not stop. Do not make yourself smaller. And always continue to be unapologetically and authentically you, because the world needs more of that.